Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Ben Olson. That's Nathan Fox. We're the founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We have an email here from Sam. The subject is relative versus absolute flaws.
Hey guys, I just finished practice test 152, section 2, logical reasoning, and I noticed a pattern I'm trying to get better at. Flawed reasoning based on relative comparisons, like ratios and rankings, being mistaken for absolute changes. Example, this was a made up example. This isn't because we can't share the licensed LSAC content. So here's an example. A premise states that Dallas went from the most polluted city in the country to fourth most polluted. The argument then concludes that Dallas pollution must have improved. Like Dallas must have less pollution.
Sure.
The problem with that logic is you're failing to consider that other cities may have experienced worsening pollution.
Yeah, they could have stayed exactly the same. They could have even gotten worse, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
I mean,
everything just went to shit.
You could have kept going worse, but other people went to shit even worse than you.
Yep.
And next thing you know, your ranking has improved while your overall pollution has gotten worse. Any tips? I never know what to say to this. I'm interested to hear your response here, Ben.
Sure.
Any tips on how to spot and flag these relative versus absolute traps quickly? Like specific keywords or question types or mental checks you use? I would definitely say it has nothing to do with question type. Stop that. And it has nothing. What mental checks? I don't know. Keywords? Probably not.
Okay. If there is any sort of thing that I do, and it might be considered a mental check.
Okay.
It's simply just a question. And that is, okay, what do I know is true? Well, it's a series of questions. One, What do I know is true? I know that Dallas went from the most polluted city in the country to the fourth most polluted. Okay, I have to accept that as true. So let's assume for simplicity, there was a list of 10 cities. It was number 10, and now it's number 4. Okay, the next thing is the argument concludes that Dallas's pollution must have improved. And so my question then becomes, does that conclusion have to be true? And if I can think of any reason why it doesn't, then the argument is flawed. And that's what we do over and over and over again.
And we might do it before we even get to the conclusion. You know, if I read a premise that says Dallas went from the most polluted city in the country to the fourth most polluted last year, I'm on guard. You know, I tend to stop there.
Yeah, because you can anticipate the stupid conclusions that people are going to jump to.
Right. Like, what do I know? Okay, well, I know that their ranking changed. They used to be number 1 worst, and now they're number 4 worst.
Yeah.
Okay, but what does that actually mean? Well, all I know is relative to the other countries, how it changed. So could Dallas's pollution have dramatically improved? Yeah. Could it have slightly improved? Yeah. Could it have stayed the same? Well, yeah, if other cities got worse. Could it have gotten worse? Well, yeah, if other cities got worse even faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, I just don't see this as like, it's not keywords and it's not question types, but it is like an overarching mental check of be fucking skeptical. Well, they're trying to lie to you. Some of what they're going to say, you have to accept as fact, but you don't have to accept the conclusions that they're going to draw from those facts. And 90% of the time, they're going to try to draw a conclusion that's not justified by those facts.
Yeah.
So be a critical thinker. Read carefully and then think around the edges of these premises. Because it applies not only to relative versus absolute or numbers versus percentages. It applies to every damn question on the entire LSAT logical reasoning. When they say that the coffee shop offers free coffee on, most Wednesdays or whatever, you got to think around the edges of what that means. Like, can they offer free coffee on all Wednesdays? Well, yeah, they can, because most includes all. Can they offer free coffee on 51% of the Wednesdays? Well, yeah, because most includes 51%. Can they offer free coffee on Thursdays? Yeah,
because they didn't say
they didn't say they didn't.
Yeah.
So could Wednesday be the day in which they give the least free coffee? Absolutely, because they could offer 100% free coffee on all the other days, and on Wednesday they only do it most Wednesdays. And
well, so and there's also the assumption built in there that because it's free, they're going to give out more. It's possible that on the days they offer it for free, people wig out and don't go.
Yeah. Or the reason why they give it out for free.
It's because no one likes to buy coffee on Wednesdays.
No, that's the day that they do their fugation.
Yeah. Right? Or whatever. Yeah. You just, all
you
have to
put on a gas mask to get into the coffee shop, but you get free coffee if you do. Yeah, they might never give out any coffee on those days, even though they made it half price or free or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll let you wrap it up for Sam.
Well, the point is that you are given a claim, and if it's a premise, then you have to figure out exactly what it's saying and then figure out nothing less, nothing more. That doesn't mean you don't think about what else it could imply or could mean. You just recognize it as something that could be true versus something that must be true. And the mistake that people make is that they read that Dallas went from the most polluted to the fourth most polluted, and they wrongly assume that it got better.
Well, and especially if that's the conclusion, and if you read too quickly and you get to the conclusion right away, and now you're just like sort of bought it. Like they hooked you.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you bit too quickly. You have to understand that they're going to try to lead you down these paths.
Yeah.
They're going to give you information that could be interpreted in one way. Obviously, like if we wanted to be optimistic, it looks like Dallas has cleaned up their shit. Great. Yeah,
that's certainly
possible.
Possible, yeah.
It's also possible that they have gotten dirtier and dirtier at an accelerating rate every single year. It's possible that they are far dirtier now than they were when they were ranked fourth or ranked first. It could be that they are far dirtier now in absolute terms. And it could be that the rate of change is even worse than it ever was before. Historically bad.
Yeah.
Historically bad and accelerating, as long as Houston is even shittier.
Yeah. And accelerating even faster.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it doesn't even have to accelerate faster. It just depends on where it is right now. But yeah.
You just got to start, you got to start seeing both sides, right? Like being a good lawyer is not about moral clarity. It's just not. It's not about right and wrong. It's about arguing over facts and realizing that there's going to be two sides to every story.
It's not denying, and this is where I think people get confused, is they think like, oh, you want me to be so aggressive. So when they say Dallas went from the most polluted to the fourth most polluted, I'm going to argue and say they're not actually the fourth most polluted.
No.
It's like, no, you accept the terms of the agreement, but nothing more. Everything else is fair play.
Yeah, there are going to be facts in evidence, you know, like there's going to be a contract signed by both parties. And, you know, I might have tried to keep that out of court or whatever. But if it turns out that document is like, yes, stipulated, that's what the parties agreed to. Well, I'm no longer arguing about what the word is on the page. I might be arguing about what the word means, though.
Yeah.
And I'm going to definitely be arguing about all the stuff that's not quite on the page.
Yeah.
Right. Just because they said this doesn't mean that. That's the type of shit that you got to get into. If you want to get really good. And Sam, I promise you, it's actually fun. It seems like Sam is looking for ways to do this
quickly,
like sort of shortcuts and
totally
tricks and stuff. And I want you to just actually really understand it, Sam.
Because it will help you not only with this, but everything else will be unlocked. You're worried about relative versus absolute. That's great. You should recognize the difference between those things, but that's just one of many things that are tested.
You need to be vastly more skeptical than you currently are.
Mm-hmm.
You got to start thinking around the edges of these things.
Yeah.
Okay. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you would like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.